Good evening. Tonight's feature presentation is not for the faint of heart. It is, as some would describe, fucking terrifying. There existed a miasma that haunted the internet from 2007 well into the late 2010s. You could find him inserted into any possible image. If you looked at him for too long, you would turn into one of his own. And some said he would come from the sky, but others said he was a Pokemon. Both were wrong. It was something far worse. Tonight we'll be discussing Weegee. It is a common trope in many forms of media for the villain to start off as unassuming and innocent, and tonight is no exception. What would become Weegee originated in the hit 1992 game Mario is Missing, wherein our beloved scamp Mario goes missing. So it's up to Luigi to find him, going on a magical journey across our own world, learning more about the cultures and geography and natural history of the world. How fun! But is it just me, or does Luigi look a little off today? Maybe it was something he ate. But this unwavering stare, this weird looking posture, all of this would go unnoticed because, as we all know, Mario is Missing only had 7 fans. And I'm sure they didn't have internet access in 1992. But in the future, people did remember that Mario is Missing did in fact exist. And these future people had internet access. And it was on August 11th, 2007, that a user on the GameFAQs spin-off Lulinx named Monkey in Closet would remember that yes, Mario is Missing did in fact exist. And right, Luigi looked very strange on it. And there it would stay for a couple months or so, because as we all remember, Lulinx kind of isolated itself from the rest of the wider internet due to events occurring in 2004. He would also create a vectorized version, and this is the version that you and I know today. Soon, it would make its way out of Lulinx and arrive on the V board of 4chan, where it would get the term Weegee, which is kind of like a mistranslation of the word Luigi. Luigi, Weegee, there you go. But the people on 4chan would find it amusing, and the founder of 4chan himself, Moot, would reply on the thread, saying that he thought this was funny. And since, it managed to make its way to 4chan, it would soon spread to every other corner of the internet, especially thanks to sites like YTMND and Newgrounds and iFunny and any other image sharing site. In the early phase, if you know the innovative social model, the early adopters started to put Weegee in any situation, and it would instantly make it uncomfortable or awkward for the viewer. How fun! Things will start to change as the early majority started to show up. And this is probably where you know Weegee best. This is the era when Weegee kind of became one of the many iconic faces of classic YouTube poop. And not just YouTube poop, other, Weegee edit videos. Because how could we forget a Weegee Sparta AMV? Or I suppose the correct term would be YTPMV. To that point, who can forget such classics as Hotel Weegee, The Weegee Invasion, and if you were paying attention during the title, the Sky Had A Weegee. Weegee, with his very iconic face and being a incredibly popular meme at the time, made it virtually hard to not recognize him. It made it virtually impossible to not feature him in some level of YouTube poop or some video, in which Weegee would usually take the role of the villain, or I suppose in wrestling terms, the heel of the story. But something alarming was beginning to occur. Weegee was no longer content with just making people feel awkward or uncomfortable with his mere presence in photos. Instead, he decided he needed to transform one simple glance would be all it would take to turn you into him. First, you become entranced by his unnerving and unwielding stare. After that, there's nothing left you can do. Because soon after you stared at him for just a little bit too long, you turn into him. Your face becomes a Weegee face. And in its worst stages, you literally just become a Weegee. This is like the creation point of what is now known as the Weegee Virus. And knowing the common demographic of people who watch YouTube poops during this time period of like the mid 2010s, it's no surprising that when children started to discover the Weegee virus and like I guess Weegee in general, they started to form a encyclopedia of all of their new Weegee knowledge, a Weegeepedia, if you will. Now suddenly, these children are turning Weegee into the Emperor of the Galaxy. He has a power level of over 3,000. He is 69 years old. Ha ha ha! How fucking funny! And of course, now there are fan-made Weegees. New powers given to him, new enemies, new friends. And the Weegee canon is created and expanded upon. But time spares no man, as we all know. And soon, Weegee, despite his fame and being an icon of the meme culture of the late 2000s and early to mid 2010s, would soon become irrelevant, as most things do. But his influence on the internet is definitely still present. I mean, after all, him being like a staple of YouTube poops, you can argue how current digital editing meme culture of the modern day. We can discuss this now. Do we think Weegee will have a resurgence a la Trollface? Leave it at that in the comments below. But I believe that Weegee will probably have a resurgence. I will say this. I'm surprised that the Weegee virus hasn't made a resurgence yet. Because like I can definitely see how it would influence a lot of like internet horror today. You know, if you look at this image, you turn into that image. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but that does feel like a lot of untapped potential. And I'm sure there's like a very small account on the web somewhere that has done something with this. But I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know. But speaking on how Weegee, there could potentially be a Weegee resurgence, I'm already pretty certain this exists, but there's probably a mid-ass Friday Night Funkin' mod out there where Weegee's a feature. Because they did it with Trollface, they did it with Jeff the Killer, they did it with, they probably didn't do a Shoot the Whoop, but I wouldn't be surprised. What began out as a simple post on Lootlinks about a weird-looking sprite from at that point, roughly 12-year-old video game, morphed into one of the icons of YouTube poop of early 2010s meme culture practically overnight. And unlike memes of the unlike memes of modern day where the shelf life is maybe a week or two, this really had a extremely long shelf life, like a Twinkie more or less. At any moment he could be used as the villain in a YouTube poop, a strange little man used in memes and YTMNDs to make things awkward or funny. A virus infecting anyone who looked at him, turning them into him. Or a massive canon of lore invented by children, effectively playing pretend with a imaginary meme character. Will he come back in the future? I mean, people continue to suckle on the teeter nostalgia for content, and I'm no different. So I can definitely see a future where there's a Weegee revival. But that's it. I don't really have like a I don't have anything else. I'll see you guys later. Bye.